If you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know that I love FPS games. I play them all the time and have done all my life. So what better video to put together than some of the best FPS games available on Game Pass? So strap in, there are tons. If you've played an FPS game before, you've definitely heard of Doom, so I don't need to introduce that too much. But The Dark Ages, which is a brand new title from the Doom series, puts a medieval spin on our beloved boomer shooter, and it changes things in a number of important ways. First of all, the hero is heftier. The action is less about sort of dodging around and more about crashing straight through. And we get to ride an honest-to-goodness dragon. It's all just extremely metal like you would expect from some of the latest Doom games. And I would say it's a perfect balance of the old and the new. It's got a Doom game that has all the demonic style and satisfying shoot-'em-up action you'd expect, but it also feels fundamentally fresh and different. If you fancy a more classical sci-fi Doom experience, or maybe you're just looking to play through the whole thing in order, then you can find the modern Doom trilogy available in all of its gory, demon-battering glory on Game Pass, like the title of the video suggests. Game Pass had arguably one of the biggest titles to come to the service day one in its history when Call of Duty Black Ops 6 entered the service. This was a 90s espionage, classic Call of Duty Black Ops style game with a fantastic campaign, multiplayer, and then of course the free-to-play Warzone integration. This is also the title that brought in the hugely popular Omni movement system. I mean, this is something that felt like it could have been a gimmick before it launched, but when it did, it's something that I felt like every Call of Duty game should have had since day one. Now, speaking of other Call of Duty games, and you might not know this about Call of Duty games in Game Pass, but Modern Warfare 2 and 3, the newer ones, both entered the service after Black Ops 6 landed at the service. So if you haven't played either of those titles and you want to play the campaign or some of those great multiplayer offerings, it's well worth having a look at. Now, not only can Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass members enjoy all three of these great COD titles, but they can also snag some free in-game content for its free-to-play sister series, Warzone. And this also goes for a bunch of other free-to-play games like Valorant and Overwatch 2, if you're into those. Borderlands 4 is coming up quite soon, and it will, of course, will be taking us on another vault hunting expedition come September 12th. So now is probably a great time to go and play the third game to work on some of your sharpshooting skills, and not to mention your clone summoning, mech riding, and skag wrangling ones, but I'm sure you'll see to it. The third game in the looter shooter series gives players 4 new vault hunters to try out, each with their own special set of skills, as well as a literal billion different guns to pick up and play around with until they've made their character the most dangerous thing in what it was already an incredibly dangerous galaxy. And of course, if you've played Borderlands before, you'll know that it's always at its best in co-op, and you've got 4-player split screen option, both online and local, on Xbox Series X, which is a lovely blast from the past of the old days. But we all know that looting and shooting with your friends online is also an awful lot of fun. Now, this game may have fallen under the radar for you, but let me explain. It's basically like Groundhog Day, but everyone Bill Murray meets is a highly trained killer who'd very much like him to be dead, and also there's no groundhog. That essentially gives you Deathloop. Deathloop is Arcane Leon's 60-style shooter that traps players on an island and inside a time loop and then challenges them to fight their way out. And to do so, you'll need to figure out a way to take out all of your targets within a single day. If you fail or find yourself on the wrong end of a gun barrel, you'll wake up to start the whole thing all over again. It's a pretty ingenious premise and is well worth giving a go, and this is before you even get into the game invading multiplayer option that really spices things up. It's safe to say if you had Juliana on your baby name list, you might feel slightly differently when you finish playing Deathloop. Far Cry's open worlds are just brimming with possibilities. There's secrets to uncover, friends to make, gators to pet, sausage dogs with wheels, and of course, a load of authoritarian madmen to overthrow. Of course, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, and you probably are, that's why you're watching the video, then you've got a lovely selection of sandboxes to go and wage war in. The 6th game jets us over to the tropical island of Yara, where deadly recycling is all the rage. You'll see what I mean. The 5th game, we head to Hope County, USA, where things aren't actually looking all that hopeful. And then for New Dawn, we actually head back to the post-apocalyptic version of the same place. So if you're playing Far Cry 5, probably don't bet too much on a happy ending is all I'll say. Right, I'm going to double dip on these because this is 2 of the finest FPS experiences ever made, and they both come courtesy of Rare. And this was after they were done with their banjos and before they'd gotten super into their pirates. GoldenEye 007's local multiplayer showdowns are stuff of the neck-chopping legends, and now Xbox players can enjoy it in beautiful 4K. Then there's also the game-changing Perfect Dark, which raised the bar for FPS games everywhere, which told an engrossing sci-fi story about aliens and AI set in the hazy, far-off future of, 2023. Anyway, Perfect Dark is also set for a modern reboot, which some of you will know about, and that is also coming straight to Game Pass. So if you want to know exactly when this game comes out, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell to Xbox On, and you'll be the first to know. Right, a best FPS list would not be complete without talking about the mean green galaxy saving machine who made the whole modern FPS genre possible, and that is Master Chief. Xbox gamers can play through all of the original Halo games in stunning 120 FPS thanks to the Master Chief Collection. They can also enjoy faster loading times and improved split screen. Basically, you've got a party like it's 2001 while also enjoying all the benefits of being here in 2025. But if you want to be right on the cutting edge, Halo Infinite adds another blockbusting chapter to Master Chief's tale. While it's free-to-play multiplayer, I always forget that it's free-to-play, just got even better with the summer update that added the new Forge tool, armor sets, playlists, and a gnarly new weapon called the Mutilator. Just Halo good times. Like the artist formerly and then once known again as Prince, Hunt the Showdown went under a bit of a name change when it relaunched as a next-gen only title, and it now goes by Hunt Showdown 1896. And while the name has changed, the game is actually still quite as badass. You play as a bounty hunter and you make your way through a swamp to take down a legendary monster, except you're not the only one after that bounty and the others might not feel like playing nice. It makes for a very delicious mixture of co-op and competitive as players try to find the exact right moment to stab each other in the back. You'll know exactly what I mean when you play it for the first time. Now this one's a little different. You might be getting a little bored of conventional gunplay and fancy something with a little more razzle-dazzle, and that might be EA's magical FPS Immortals of Avium. You get to play as a battle mage on a quest to save his war-torn world, mostly by shooting magic out of his fingers. The combat system is relatively easy to pick up, and there's also quite a deep spellbook to work with, allowing you to string your attacks together into devastating combos. Now, I'm a big fan of both of these games, and I've kind of bucketed them because they are both very post-apocalyptic and very nuclear. The first one is Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl, and this is an absolutely brilliant game. Not just because it takes place inside an irradiated zone that's rife with raiders, mutants, and strange anomalies, but it is an amazing, grim survival game that is a real challenge and that doesn't require not just a quick trigger finger, but also a very fine sense of when to use it. The place does have its charms with photorealistic graphics and an open world that's simulated in such incredible detail, but I probably wouldn't start looking for a flat to live there yet though. But if you do fancy going nuclear in a slightly different way that's a bit closer to my home in the UK, that is the first-person survival game Atomall that also arrived this year. And I'm also slightly biased because I'm actually in this game and so are the rest of the Xbox On team, so you can go and have a look for us and kill us with cricket bats if you want to. In this game though, bullets are pretty hard to come by, hence the cricket bat, and it is the English countryside, so there really is more of a first-person adventure than it is a full FPS. But between the rogue paramilitaries and the roving cultists, you'll definitely want to make sure that those shots count. I would definitely give Titanfall and Stalker 2 both a go on Game Pass. Now, this next one, you don't have to be too quick on the draw to play Super Hot Mind Control Delete, since everything moves in super slow motion whenever you stand still. You may have seen clips of this game on the internet for about a million years. And if you think that makes it easy, well, you probably haven't played Super Hot. Instead, this innovative approach to FPS gameplay turns the whole thing into a high-caliber puzzle game. You have to plan out each move, figuring out a way to get from one enemy to the next and all the way through a sequence of procedurally generated levels, ideally with the same number of holes in your body as you started out with. Fail that and you'll have to start the whole sequence again. Super Hot's time-bending gameplay creates a whole different kind of tension, and the minimalist graphics make it also look really cool too. Lots of people have tried this game, but if you haven't, well worth giving a go. Now, I feel like I may get killed in the comments for including this one, because it is a first-person view and you do shooting in it. Therefore, I'm going to say it's worthy of being in this FPS list. And that is The Outer Worlds, which 100% is probably more an action RPG in a first-person view, but look, let's just stick with it because I think you should all probably play it. Outer Worlds has you set in a brilliant world where mega corporations run entire star systems and only one person, which is you, can stand up to the powers that be and bring justice to the people. Or you can make a deal with the powers that be and instead sell out the people and get filthy rich. Or, you know, a whole bunch of other things you can decide on, much like how I decided to put this in the video. This game lets you really choose your own adventure. But whatever the choices you do make, this game is an absolute blast as you make friends and gun down enemies in a vibrant sci-fi world that's kind of, I would say, somewhere between Futurama and Firefly. There is, of course, a sequel coming up, and what can we expect from the sequel? Well, I assume more wicked humour, laser-filled gunfights, and brightly coloured space travelling would be my guess first of all. But if you want an actual real answer, then you should probably check out the Outer Worlds 2 Direct, which kicks off right after the Xbox Game Showcase on June 8th, and you can actually watch that right on this channel, so make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. This is genuinely one of the best FPS single-player campaigns I've ever played in my entire life. Let me explain. First of all, if you play a shooter that lets you pull off cool parkour moves, then that's pretty good. Also, shooters that let you climb inside a giant mech are also pretty good. But shooters that put the two together, well, that is Titanfall 2, and what a game it is. So whether you're duking it out in the multiplayer or, like I said, one of the best single-player solo campaigns ever made, the action in Titanfall 2 is unfailingly fast and furious as you wall run, double jump and backflip all over the place, all while chucking knives, grenades and bullets. It's just frenetic, fast, it's fantastic. And then, of course, you get to jump in your mech. It's such great fun going from being so light on your feet to being so incredibly heavy, and this combo makes Titanfall 2 an FPS experience like no other. Plus, by the way, it's only 10 hours to complete, so you have to go and play this. I covered this in another video, but Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege is about to turn 10, and to mark that massive occasion, Ubisoft is preparing a pretty game-changing update. That's because on June 10th, the Siege X update will give a whole bunch of different levels a modern makeover that provides both an audio-visual overhaul and chucks in some cool new gameplay features like destructible elements. It also adds a permanent new 6v6 mode called Dual Front, which allows people to choose from a rotating, curated roster of operators, ideal for newcomers who are a bit overwhelmed by the selection. I know I find that when I drop back into this game, I'm like, I don't know who to choose, when to choose them, so hopefully this will help with that. Now, if you love rappelling, you're going to love this, because they've added improved controls for rappelling in Rainbow Six Siege, so make sure you give it a go when that drops on June 10th. So, I'm sorry to say, that's the end of the video. Did I miss any? I'm assuming I did. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.